Let's move into the association, man. Our beloved league. We had a week set of another week of exciting matchups. Um, right now some of them are still going, but currently the scores are looking pretty much in line with what we predicted. Um, it's pretty late on a Sunday, and maybe most of these matchups are over. What can you see from your side?
Right now, I'm looking at your team, the Gotham Great Danes versus the Syracuse Sparrows. And I'll let you know, Dane, you're not going to be happy right now. Um, right
Did
now,
what happened? Did what I thought could happen happen?
yeah, but not in the way you thought it was going to happen.
Um,
So Sparrows did, or yeah, so you're still up by one block, but the free throw percentage, um, you lost your free throw percentage lead,
wow,
um, and I'm and yeah, so you're gonna lose by 300ths of a
wow,
percent. Yeah, 300ths.
wow.
And
So
let me
it's like
see.
a
Yeah, I mean Julius Randle shot it well from the free throw line
so
at 909, but it looks like Quickly shot it better. He was 100%. I don't know how many free throws he made, but he was 100% from the line.
is that Brogdon shot 50% from the line today.
Yeah.
Bastard. Yeah. Well, that's how it goes sometimes. And like I thought, I thought it could, you know, I thought we would win, but it could be close. And it certainly turned out that way. So unfortunately for me, I don't walk away with a 6-2 or 6-3, but that's fine. We'll take what we
Yeah,
can.
I mean, your team performed, excellent, especially given you were down 2 games. It was 26 games to your 28 against the Syracuse Sparrows. And, Embiid was, as we pointed to in the beginning, was phenomenal. Shout out to the boy Kyrie, returning to the floor. He was also phenomenal. Um, the two concerning players were, some players at the end of the bench, Mitch Robinson and Portis. They struggled. They struggled this week. And
Win
and
tonight.
and Brog, what was that?
Yeah, they struggled. I mean, he struggled for the week, but he played well tonight. 21.6 rebounds. And Mitch Robinson, he leading up to tonight, he's been having he had a few good games. But tonight, no blocks for me. Which is fine. We still escaped with a slight win over in that category, but um, yeah, I'm just disappointed. Disappointed with the way we performed tonight because we should have won this matchup by more than 1 point. But anyway, let's move on to Amherst and Solid State. What'd you see happen over there? We predicted Solid State would win that one, and looks like he won in a big way. Is that still the case?
Yeah, it's still holding. Right now, South State's going to walk away with the 8-1 victory against Amherst Speedsters. I'll quickly say, as I said last week, Amherst Speedsters got a bunch of pieces. They just don't all fit together. The injuries certainly don't help. Um, but I've got major concerns on that side of the ball. And Solid State, I mean, he kills them, and James Harden had an okay week, right? James Harden of old have hasn't even come yet. And then Sexton finally shows up, as you pointed out, put up 40 on the Nets, and he's been playing great basketball. And just overall across the board, production just from all the guys on that team. including Collins and Nance and Holmes as well. So, disappointing for the speedsters.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like we said last week, it was going to be tough. With Miami being postponed several games, and then Tyler Hero doesn't appear to be healthy this week. You know, just a bunch of guys. He didn't have Nurkic, um, who he lost to injury, and you know, Bledsoe had a game or two um, that turned out well, but he also had a game or two that were kind of piss poor. So, um, yeah, this is
This is an all.
it's going to be a struggle moving forward, I think. And Jamal Murray really needs to, be Jamal Murray that we saw in the bubble because, you know, he's not. His last couple of games have been decent and pretty good, but those are games where he's played in the 40 plus minutes. We need to see what happens when he's playing, a regular set of minutes, 30s, um, nothing bananas. And he's I think he's already kind of banged up, so we got to watch that, see how he's holding up as the season goes on. All right. Looking at the Bombers and your Brooklyn Phoenix, who we both uh, wrongly predicted. What happened in your matchup there?
This one unfortunately came, with me running against KD. KD was absolutely phenomenal, on the other side of the ball. And this matchup could have actually gone worse. Was fortunate that Lowry, missed a game or two. Christian Wood missed a game or two. But we just, I hate to use the games played crutch, but even with those guys missing games, we were still down, a game to the Boston Bombers, and so it made it hard for us to be competitive. A lot of people had to play above their pay grades. Even Paul George had a decent week. As much as we talked, and I talked about how disappointed I was with his Sunday performance. I mean, his numbers are still great for what I drafted him for, or what I added him for. So it's just an overall grind it out. Happy to walk away with a 5-4 or 4-5 loss to a very good team.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. You know, kind of like what we talked about in the power rankings. I think this team is the Beantown is a lot better than it initially appears. When you look at their roster, with Lowry, Durant, who's playing at an MVP level, like you mentioned. Um, and then you've got, the Adams and the Levines of the world, Christian Wood, who missed a game but has been strong otherwise. Um, you know, it's gonna be even harder for opponents coming up against this team, especially when Kemba's coming back and looks like he's playing well so far. Um, three, 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 three pointers, 21 points, and 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals tonight against Cleveland. So he's adding him to the lineup, and it's gonna get tougher for people as we go on. So let's move on to Bimtown and the Blake Express. We predicted Blake Express would come away with an upset, and looks like we were right about that. Anything you noticed in that matchup?
I mean, it comes down to Dame Dollar and Gordon Hayward. I mean, there's it's it's just been a phenomenal week for the Blake Express, especially he was the proud owner of Capella, and so those three, the combination of Capella, Gordon Hayward and Dame Lillard, carried that team to the victory because the supporting cast was, pedestrian at best. And then of course the other side, Luka's back. The percentages are not, but yeah, there's still a lot to work out with on the Bimtown Celtics. They're not playing to the best of their ability, but there's time, right? It's still early, and they're still sitting, right around that play-in spot. What did you think about the matchups?
Yeah, same. Nothing really to add there except Booker obviously not playing his best for Bimtown. And I think it's a lot to ask of Cantor to be a starting center in the fantasy league right now, especially one where we only have one center spot and only 8 players active each week. So with a guy like him providing you with mostly rebounding and some scoring, it's tough to make that up in a few of the other categories that you really need big man help. And like you said, they came up against a Capella who, as I pointed out, huge rebounding games, huge blocks, games with blocks this week. And just a question about the supporting cast as well. Terry Rozier, who's been really good this season, had a couple of poor games this week. And then Zion, he's a beast down low, scoring on the interior, but he's really not at a point where he's really giving you anything else fantasy wise. So that makes it tough with a guy like him. He kind of there's a couple of guys that ring bells to me when you think about Zion, and not to compare him to like Zach Randolph or someone like that, but guys like that who give you the scoring, give you the rebounding, but didn't really give you much else. At least you could depend on Zach Randolph to shoot a good percentage, which Zion has been. Um, and you could depend on him to kind of, be solid at the free throw line, which Zion is not. So it's just luckily we're in an auction league where he comes at a really cheap price and he was drafted as a rookie. Um, but I'm thinking about the redraft leagues where people might have spent, third or fourth round pick on Zion. Um, they're probably pretty pissed right now, but still exciting to watch. Anyway, let's move on. Giannis They Say the One played the Frankfurt Flyers. We both picked the Flyers, and it looks like that's what is gonna go down. What is the final score in that matchup?
What we've got, it looks like 6-3, 6-3. So
Mhm.
they held on for the 6-3 victory.
Okay.
Um, and the Frankfurt Flyers, has got the Kawhi Leonard, playing at a very high level. Anunoby has been phenomenal. We already talked at length about Aiton. They're just rolling, they're just rolling, and they've, this is what this Amherst Speedsters was supposed to be, right? And this is probably what we thought Amherst Speedsters was going to be when I look at this roster, because they've got John Wall on the bench, Anthony Edwards, Fultz is unfortunately is dealing with the ACL injury. But this team is looking really promising for this year. And then on the other side, the Titans of San Juan, uh, they fought, but just not good enough. Just not good enough. What did you see?
Um, like you said, for the Flyers, their players are rolling, and with uh, you know San Juan, we just know how much of a struggle it's going to be for them this year. They did have Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, who have been outstanding. Same thing with Jordan Clarkson. Been pretty good, but I think they just came against a team that it's got a lot of people rolling at the same
Mhm.
time. So it's just nothing they can do there. We know that this team is going to um, struggle on most days, and the key there too is that they had Bertans in the lineup. Bertans was hurt, so no Bertans this week. They also had Buddy Hield, who, like for example, like tonight did not play the last night either because of the games being postponed against Memphis. So just a little bit of bad luck there as well. Um, but supporting cast wise, I shouldn't. It's not doom and gloom. Like this team has played a lot better than we both probably anticipated early on in the season, and um, it's just a matter of one team just having more guys rolling and more games to be played than the other. Chris Boucher has not been as strong, I would say, the last 2 or 3 games. Um,
Mhm.
so that's something I think to monitor. He's been incredible this year, very efficient, coming off the bench, blocking shots, rebounding, even scoring. But this week he was, you know, pretty pretty mediocre. Maybe it has something to do with the opponents. Playing against Miami, and uh, you know, I mean, hard crews to play against. They also played against Indiana tonight, and we'll have them again tomorrow. So that might be more of a situational struggle than something reflective of just him going into a slump. But we could call it a slump too. We'll see. True Grit and Kings Landing Kings. What are your thoughts about this matchup? You went with True Grit. I went with Kings, and I thought it would be close, and it was. I thought the Kings would had actually had a chance to win this matchup, and it just came down to Sunday, I think, right?
Yeah, it came down to the wire. True Grit was able to pull out a 6-3. Games played. True Grit ended up with one game more than Kings Landon. I think originally it was projected to be a couple more, um, but he also suffered some players not playing. But anybody could have predicted Derrick Rose not being in the lineup. Um, but on the other side, um, but I guess before I jumped on the other side, True Grit had Jalen Brown, and he's been phenomenal this year. He's looked really good. Putting over who bets Jalen Brown puts up 100 points in a week. And then Anthony Davis, after going like 6 games of scoring less than 20 points, he finally, breaks through and scores 37 points one game. And then on the other side, um, we've got, Kings Landon. And, without Bradley Beal, you know, I think I think that made the climb like really tough for Kings Landon. But they fought. I admit this was a little bit closer than I had. Actually, no, this was right. I thought it would be like 5-4 going in, and this was because of some of the players that were going to be missing or not playing on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. I looked at the players Kings are bringing to the table, and I think they, had. I think again, I think they had a really good chance of winning this matchup. Especially when I look over and see, Baisley and Dort and Noel in the lineup. You know, it's a little surprising to me still that they were able to win um, at this 6-3 kind of score, but it's still close. One 3-pointer was the difference here, and a 5-4, 6-3 victory. I think better things are still to come for King's Landing. So
Yeah, I will say Kings Landon should hit the waiver. You've got JJ Redick in your util spot. You know, I'm gonna look at the amount of moves that he's made this season. Um, yep, just as I expected. It's at 0. So I mean, you know, those bench guys are very important, especially in a season like the one we're in. When you got JJ Redick in that util spot, you've got some issues. There's certainly some guys that you can get from the waiver wire. Like for instance, we'll get into some of the pickups for this week, but Kendrick Nunn was available, and he's been pretty hot and can give a whole lot more than what JJ's given. So we're talking to you, Kings Landon. You know,
yeah,
make some moves.
JJ lost his starting spot, I believe, and I'm curious to see if he sticks around on that roster for the rest of the year. I think that'll be an interesting thing to watch at trade deadline. Um, Part of the
Maybe he'll go to the Nets. He can replace Shemet. So that's another person that's been calling us to lose Shemet. I
yeah,
did. You would have never thought that guy was a shooter. Playing with the Nets,
he's
watching him.
kind of disappeared. It's kind of disappeared. But let's move into the Cranston Killers playing New York. We don't have to spend a whole lot of time on this one because we more or less know the deal here. But what what kind of situation you see happening with this matchup? What was the main story here?
The main story is New York is just ready for the vacation. He's just just sick and tired of the season, and he's just ready for the season to be over. For the Cranston Killer side, it's good to get in some practice reps, and that's what he did. I mean, I will honestly say, the New York Clinic, like they had some good performances from some players,
Yeah,
but when your management sucks, your management sucks. You're just not going to perform as well. When you've got management managing the team the way that they are. So
yeah. I mean, John Morant came back. I didn't realize Westbrook played a game this week. This
that
week.
was tonight.
Oh, it was tonight.
You know,
Yeah,
the only game the Wizards had played in like nearly 2 weeks.
right. Um, yeah, nothing really to tell here. But the good news for them is that all their main players are healthy again. So
Yeah, and that's bullshit.
call it what you may. Um, I think we have one more matchup, which was our probably our matchup of the week that we kind of um, you know had watching with great interest. The number one team in the league, the Midtown Money Men, faced off with against the Rucker Park Busters, who have been struggling. Um, have had an up and down season so far, but we're able to come away with the win tonight. Is that still the final score? 6-3?
Yes, Rucker Park. Oh, 5-4. 5-4.
5-4.
Rucker Park escaped with the 5-4 victory over the Midtown Money Man. It was a close matchup. I mean, the fact that I just hit a refresh and it, immediately went from 6-3 5-4 tells you um, how close this matchup was. But as we both expected, with Midtown Money Man not having, their guy, CJ McCollum, it was gonna be a tall climb, because Rucker Park, he was facing season season ending, getting ready for 2022, the 2021-2022 season. So it was good for him to put together some good games and some guys to show up. Some guys which I've really liked the performances is Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins has been strong, not from the free throw line, but his field goal percentage over 50%, and he's now trying defensively and averaging more than a block a game. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Is this the Draymond effect? What's
this is
the buy-in?
so this was yeah, it's good coaching. Probably some Draymond there.
James?
Draymond, you always got to put some Draymond juice in there, huh?
Did I just hear you say Steve Kerr is a good coach?
No.
Okay.
Whoa.
Strong on that position.
Whoa, there's a lot of coaching that doesn't involve Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr. Okay, gotcha. Yeah,
Definitely not talking about Steve Kerr. No way.
Okay. I thought
Steve Kerr is a guy that just talks about Michael Jordan punching him in his face, and he just repeats that story every single damn time in 10 different languages, in 10 different tones.
An inspirational story gets his guys going.
Yep. Because what happens if he's not there? The team just goes undefeated. So, Steve Kerr is finding out what it feels like to manage a good team. A good team. And it comes with a lot of struggles.
Yeah, I think part of the success of this of Rucker Park this week was that they went small. They went small in their lineup, and it looked like it was pretty effective. So having guys like recent pickups, also Patty Mills, Monty Morris, both guys who came in and contributed heavily for Rucker Park this week. Brandon Clark missed some games due to obviously the pandemic, COVID postponed games. But other than that, it was a pretty strong performance from the usual suspects on this team. Drew, even DeJounte Murray, who had a triple double tonight. Giannis, 15 turnovers is unacceptable, though. We gotta do something about that. To be honest,
that's like it's like 15 charges.
and nine of those came in one game, by the way.
Damn, the refs charged them twice.
It's unacceptable for the two teams. Jokic on the other side, doing his thing as usual. We got to give him some credit, man. I'm hearing a lot of Durant talk for MVP, but I think Jokic deserves that same kind of talk
So we've mentioned MVP talk a couple times. Who's your top three right now at this stage in the season?
Jokic. Um, I I want to say Durant. Durant is a huge part of the success of that Brooklyn Nets team. Um, if they don't win, though, if they don't show that to be a better regular season team, then I don't know what you do with that. But
Hmm.
and man, people are not as, I don't know if they're as high on this take, but I really like Embiid, what Embiid is doing um so far, and I like your take on Kawhi Leonard as well. I think he deserves some consideration, but with how well Paul George has played early on in the season, I think you might have some cancellation there. When,
Hmm.
when you're looking at the impact of his play and his impact on winning. But Jokic is a clear cut example, and so is Embiid. Like those teams are not where they are without how well they're playing. Um, so yeah, those are my two, I think, leading candidates in my head.
Okay. So,
All right, well, that ends our that was our last matchup. Um, I think we did pretty well again with our predictions. Yeah, that's a wrap. For our next segment, we'll take a look at a preview of week three, or I'm sorry, week six coming up, and what's happening in the association. Before we close that out, though, let's take a look at the transactions that went down. A little bit of wheeling and dealing in the association. Um, Four ads, one drop, no trades again. No one's trading right now. Um,
hmm.
guess everyone is just waiting and seeing. Um, Anything jump out at you? Things you like?
I really like the Kendrick Nunn pickup.
Yeah.
He looks like he certainly will have some short-term value. You never know. You know what happens in the long term, especially with Jimmy Butler and his health history.
Yeah.
I like. I mean, for the team that picked him up, I like the Jeremy Lamb pickup. I'm not a big Lamb guy, but if he's like your 12th man, then that's a solid pickup.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Every the other pickups were like, meh for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. I like the Roby pickup for Blake Express. I think he's in it for the long game right now. Given where he is in his season. Um, and Roby is a guy who could we could see play a lot more later in the season. He's been getting minutes and getting starts due to the absence of Horford.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't think that's a trend that we'll see end uh, anytime soon. I think we have a lot more um, missed games from Mr. Horford. Um, then yeah, what's tell us about the Jakob Hurdle pickup?
Yeah, so cat's out. Basically, need a warm body that can hopefully get some blocks if I need to stick him in the lineup. Right. So this is just giving me some category diversity in case he has a strong week in which he has 4 games or something. Because I don't know how long Cat's going to be out for. If I had to guesstimate, probably be another 2 weeks. Mainly because he did test positive for COVID.
Mhm.
Um, so hoping he has a speedy recovery and he's doing well because he's been certainly hit pretty hard. Uh, with him and of course his family and friends.
Gotcha. All right. Well, shout out to him and hope he gets better. And hope he's added back to your lineup relatively soon. Minnesota really needs him. We know that. We talked about that already. Um, yeah. So that was our recap of week 5. We'll see you in our preview and associations pick week 6. So